Sims, the only player on the team in double figures. It's Big East Conference basketball from Boston, #1, Connecticut. Winners of 11 straight games, the Eagles of Boston College, with just 3 wins so far on the season. We welcome all of you inside Conti Forum tonight. I'm John Sanders. Mark Plansky is our color analyst for this ball game. #1 team in the nation, no doubt about it, because of a great 1-2 punch.
Oh, absolutely, John. For at least the last 6 weeks, everyone's been looking at these two guys, Elamine and Mr. Hamilton from the perimeter. But when you have the numbers that these two are putting up, you have to have a third guy step up to the show. Why? Because the defenses on the other teams will throw the gimmick triangle and twos. But how do you match up with a guy that's strong enough to play down low, but quick enough to do what he just did, run the court in transition? And this is where he is most valuable. When you double team the other guys, he converts every time.
For Boston College, nobody on this team was here 2 years ago. That means that Coach Al Skinner's basically starting over, and scoring points is a real problem.
You got to start with the fundamentals. When you're shooting 39% from the floor and only 29% from 3, these are the highlight clips, John, you find a lot with the BC Eagles in a rebuilding year. A missed alley-oop and a lot of offensive tips, but you cannot fault Al Skinner's BC Eagles for not having the effort. Finally, they put it down, and there is one guy who has the skills to step up, and it's young Clinton Sims, a freshman from Kentucky, has the consummate green light.
And he will be tested tonight because the Huskies looking to roll to 12 wins in a row as the #1 team in the nation and beat Boston College for the 20th consecutive time. Conti Forum on the campus of Boston College tonight decided this matchup between the undefeated Huskies and the Eagles of Boston College. Here's the starting lineup for head coach Jim Calhoun. Only one senior in that lineup, and that is Ricky Moore. The guy that really steps up, though, quite often, and I think goes unnoticed as well, is the center, the big guy, Jake Voskuhl.
Well, everybody says that's the weakness, but Voskuhl just keeps on trucking.
So does Jim Calhoun. As a matter of fact, this is his 400th game as head coach of the Huskies. Here's the starting lineup for Al Skinner. Remember what I said, none of these guys were here 2 years ago, so they are definitely starting over. And Brian Ross now started the season coming off the bench, making his 5th consecutive start.
And Brian Ross is one of those guys, if he was on a team, as you take a look at Al Skinner in his 2nd season at Boston College, if Brian Ross was on a team surrounded by the talent of UConn, he would be a very good role player.
There are the numbers, and the last time the Boston College won was in a building that no longer exists. It was in Boston Garden. Boston College won that game, so it's been a while. Looking for 20 in a row for the top-ranked Huskies. They control the opening tip. Ricky Moore has the ball, and we are told that Rashomon Jones, who did not dress the last 2 games, will see some action tonight for Connecticut.
And also, John, on the injury report, Kevin Freeman has had shin splints the last 2 days in practice, so look for him to come in, maybe put up a couple of quick baskets, get some rebounds, and get a night along the bench for rest.
Well, I mentioned right at the beginning a career-high 38 points for Hamilton against this team last year in their only meeting, and he just picks it up where he left off by canning the first 3 of the night. The Huskies go on top.
Excuse me, John. Obviously, you want to take care of business early when you're #1 team in the country and you're playing against the bottom team in the conference, and hitting the first shot's a good way to start.
And remember, Depina, who is the point guard for this team, was a walk-on, and he's worked his way into the starting role. This is Ross playing center right now. Probably will wind up as a power forward before his career is done. And the first foul of the night is called in Khalid Elamine, and Khalid wanted to make sure that we said hi to his family and friends watching back there in Minneapolis. I said, I don't think we go that far. He said, yes, you do. I have a dish. Or they have a dish. So we extend those New Year's greetings from Khalid Elamine.
Had to dig that dish out a couple days ago so I could watch the game.
Kenny Harley, the sophomore from the Bronx, averaged just 4.5 points a game a year ago. He's doubled that. Ross, as Voskuhl jumps out on him.
Connecticut's going to play that good pressure man-to-man defense, and BC's running the flex offense, a simple cut where patience is key.
And that's what we talked about, the miss of the three-pointer, under 30% in three-point shooting, as Ross is short with his shot. Hamilton goes inside. Voskuhl back to Moore. Moore off the Voskuhl screen, gets inside, has it knocked away. Hamilton got it back. He was hacked. Ross goes down and travels.
Good job by Boston College defending, getting their hands actively in the passing lanes. Nobody can match up with Jake Bosco. All he has to do is be patient. Weather the first 4 or 5 minutes, John, when they double team on him, kick it back out and dish it right back to the big guy.
One of the good things about Jake Bosco, he has not fouled out of a game this year, and he does get some help from Antrick Kleber and Suleiman Wan when needed, but that one is thrown away as Moore tried to dump it down inside.
A good look by Ricky Moore. Jake Bosco sleeping on the block. 2-3 zone by BC on the baseline inbounds pass. Bosco had the easy alley-oop if he was paying attention.
Comes all the way out to Hamilton. Elamine goes to the baseline, moves around Ross, and the blocking foul called underneath. It's the first foul of the night on the Eagles, and it's going to go on Dwayne Pina from New Bedford, Mass. I mentioned he was a walk-on, 5'10" junior. But there is some help on the way. They're redshirting a transfer from Howard, who was one of the top scorers in the East last year.
He would have been the #3 scorer in the nation if he was available to play for Boston College.
Xavier Singletary is his name, and he'll be eligible next year. Harley picks up his first foul. It's the second team foul. Still just 3 points on the board. We played almost 2 minutes tonight at Conti Forum. Now Jim Burr, who is the referee tonight, has a word with Khalid Elamine. The other two officials working the game are Reggie Greenwood and John Hughes. Of course, I don't think you really have to introduce Jim Burr anymore. Everybody knows who he is.
And Jim was an old veteran referee when I was playing.
At the line, a young man who has his two sons' names printed on his shoes gets his first free throw opportunity of the night.
Well, as everybody knows in Minneapolis, as you take a look at Tezzy, one of his sons' name, Kel loves to handle the ball, and that's one reason why Connecticut is so good, because everybody expects to have the receiving end.
Sims works his way inside. The short jumper is just that. It's short. Rebound by Freeman. Ishmael, by the way, is the other son of Khalid Elamine. Here comes Freeman. Kicks it out. Elamine spots for three, and he got it.
We touched on Kevin Freeman's ability to run the court and rebound, but how about the penetration and the pass out to his point guard for the three-pointer?
This is the one thing that the Eagles feared, was an early run by the Huskies, who've scored the first 7 points of the game.
And as you would expect, UConn showing a little pressure.
Cotton gets inside and misses from point-blank range. It's exactly what we showed you at the start of the game.
3 good looks, John, by Boston College.
Here comes Moore to the baseline. Ross tries to cut him off. He feeds Elamine, who finds Hamilton. Defender runs by. Hamilton cans the three. 6 points for Hamilton. The first 10 belong to UConn.
The game of basketball is heavily weighted by confidence, and it's obvious that UConn has all the confidence. But Boston College, as we mentioned early on, John, they have to learn how to play against a team like this.
Another miss of a layup. A short shot. Back the other way come the Huskies. Freeman trailing the play. Cotton bangs him. That'll be the first foul on Michael Cotton. The Huskies have hit all 3 of their three-pointers so far tonight.
Well, take a look at Elamine handling the ball so well as he does, passing to Freeman, who takes the contact and draws the foul. What are you talking about? He's looking at Elamine making that dish. He came back around and slapped the referee on the butt with a big grin. I mean, he's having fun. We're only 3 minutes into the game.
And it's 10-0. Put a smile on your face. You see the numbers for Freeman. He's the guy that does a lot of the dirty work. Goes and digs the ball out. Stays consistent on the boards. And a couple of games ago had a career high of 24 against Villanova as they routed the Wildcats.
Well, his former teammate at Patterson Catholic in New Jersey, Timmy Thomas, who of course went to Villanova for 1 year before he took the journey to the pros. How'd you like to match up with those two guys in high school front court?
No, thank you. The first 12 go to Connecticut. The Eagles have not scored.
So 2-2-1 pressure, and Jimmy Calhoun's not really double-team step-up trap, John. It's just more of a pressure trap and take some time off the clock and make BC work for any type of offensive opportunity.
Harley gives it up now to Cotton. Starts a move off the lane and then puts up a hanging jumper that hits, and that's the first basket of the night for the Boston College Eagles. And quickly the Huskies come back the other way. Here comes Hamilton. A little room down the lane, flips it up and draws the foul. Hamilton trying to get to the basket. That's going to be foul number 2 on Pina. So 2 quick fouls on him. To the line goes Richard Hamilton, where he is 51 out of 63. There is very little that this team is not doing right. They lead the Big East in almost every category, shooting over 70% as a team from the line, averaging over 86 points a game. Hamilton has 7.
Willie D replaces Dwayne Pina for the
All the games remaining for Connecticut are Big East Conference games, with one huge exception, and that is a game that will be played at Stanford on February the 6th, and that should be something.
And, you know, in college basketball now, John, it's really teared itself down to the elite. And then you could say it's elite 5 or 6, where UConn is definitely one of them. I'd have to throw Duke, Maryland, Stanford, and Kentucky if you'd ask me to name a couple of the teams in that first tier. So that game, after a number of Big East contests where, quite frankly, the way this UConn team is playing, I don't see how, if they take care of business, they could possibly come up with a loss. Will be a very big game for Jimmy Calhoun's Huskies.
6 weeks in a row his team has been ranked #1. Hamilton drops in #2. 8 early points for the junior from Coatesville, and that's the other amazing thing about this team. Consider that the only senior in the starting lineup is Ricky Moore. Rashimel Jones, another senior, gets some playing time, but everybody else underclassmen. That shot is blocked. It goes off the body of Hamilton, out of bounds. 14-2 after a 12-0 run to start the game for the Huskies.
You take a look at Hamilton. There may only be one senior on the team for Jimmy Calhoun, but you have to take a look at this guy and consider him a senior, because he has all the skills to make the leap to the next level.
Hamilton with a steal. Ahead of the pack is Moore. Cotton will try to chase him down and can't. Moore gets on the board. The lead grows. It's a 14-point lead, and we have a timeout on the court with 16:11 to play. It's going to be a 22nd timeout. And Al Skinner's got to do what he can, and when this happens, it's goodbye.
Well, Al Skinner was desperately waiting, John, for the first TV timeout, but had to call the 20 before the 16-minute mark after a number of fast break points.
And that is what we talked about just briefly there. There it is in black and white, or purple and white if you prefer. The numbers that they lead the Big East Conference, and it's just about everything. They have put together a solid year. Struggled maybe a little bit at the beginning, and they were really not clicking on all cylinders offensively, and that includes Elamine and Hamilton. But I tell you, since the Villanova game, that has changed.
What was interesting is before the Villanova game, Scotty Burrell and Ray Allen were in town at Storrs.
That's right.
And Richard Hamilton spent a lot of time after practice one-on-one playing the round-robin 3-man one-on-one, and he credited his level of game to step up to that next level by playing against 2 sensational pros.
Cotton has all 4 of the points for Boston College now, as he took the feed from Kenny Walls, who's checked into the lineup. Here's Hamilton right at the foul line, gives it up. Bosco slides down the lane, has it stripped away. Freeman got it back for him, and it's a held ball. And possession arrow will send it back the other way. 15:46 remaining in the first half. Connecticut sprinting out to a 16-4 lead. You're watching Big East basketball from ESPN+. 16-4 is the score. Suleiman Wan has checked into the lineup for Jake Bosco right now for the Huskies of Connecticut, and the Eagles finally breaking away from their bench. And there is one of the stories. BC 2 out of 7 from the field, and Connecticut has already made 5 free throws in addition to those 3-pointers.
Well, that's what we touched upon, and a coach can only do so much when his players are missing 5-foot open shots.
Hustling to track the ball down is Kenny Walls. Gets it back once again to Michael Cotton, a transfer from Oklahoma. Cotton, after sitting out last year as a junior. Dean with the basketball right now. Willie Dean from Schenectady, New York, finds Ross. Dean and Ross both freshmen. This is Dean against Elamine, leans in and nails it.
Finally, somebody taking the initiative. The aggressive offensive move by the point guard Dean.
Elamine turns it over. Here comes Sims against Suleiman Wan, who lets him go, and somehow I think he lost control, but it got in the basket.
But again, a good move by the freshman Sims. Took it right to the rim.
Hamilton challenging Walls, who picks up the foul. Walls, the freshman from San Francisco, picks up foul number 1. Team foul number 5. And it's Boston College with a little bit of a run. Remember that UConn started 12-0, but right now this is a 6-0 Eagle run, and they have trimmed the lead to 8.
As we mentioned on the Open, John, BC may have their own trouble trying to put the basketball in the net, but they do not lack on the effort. Every game they are out there trying to play hard because these guys, John, are actually role players for top Division I players, programs that have been asked to play 40 minutes and be the superstar. It's just not in their nature.
Hamilton with it on the perimeter. Starts a little bit of a move and gives it up to Albert Mooring, who has checked in. Here's Moore. Freeman deep in the corner. Mooring with some penetration, scoops it up, missed the shot. Rebound comes out of there to Boston College, handled by Michael Cotton.
Good job with the 2-3 zone. The Eagles making Connecticut pass the ball on the perimeter and then boxing out very well.
And Dean that time challenging Albert Mooring.
No basket.
The basket is not good, but it's good to see Dean try to challenge that Connecticut defense as he does right here.
Nice little inside-out dribble move. Takes it right to the defense, coming off the coattails of that drive in the middle of the last possession.
Sims kicks it back to Dean. Quick jumper. The left-hand jumper is too strong that time by Walls. At the other end, it's Hamilton rolling it home. Little finger roll. He's in double figures already at 10, and we're just over 5 minutes into this basketball game. 10-point lead for Connecticut. Here's that pressure. It's unrelenting. Freeman trying to stop Michael Cotton. Now it's Dean as Mooring is on him. Khalid El-Amin out of the lineup right now for Jim Calhoun. Ross inside, picked up by Edmund Saunders. Sims gets in the lane, gets it back outside the walls, and no place to go. Hamilton cuts him off. Shot clock at 3. Stepped on the baseline, out of bounds. Turnover.
Nobody wanted to shoot the basketball. This man, Al Skinner, that would never work. If he had the ball, it was up. He should be on the court, John.
Al Skinner, technically this is his second year, but it's almost like it's his first year because he did have Granger, Woodward, Maglos, and Curley last year left over. Now all of those people are gone, so now his program really begins this season.
It's more than a rebuilding year. He inherited only 4 scholarship basketball players. You know, that's at the bottom. You can't go further. You're at public parking levels.
Mooring backs away and has it batted away. Here comes a 2-on-1. Dean, the pass was behind him, puts it up and scores. Dean gets his second field goal. 8-point lead for #1 Connecticut. Tried to go to Saunders and is stripped from behind. That's 5 turnovers now. Sims made that steal, spots for a 3, and airmails it. Here's El-Amin, who's back on the court. Saunders trailing the play, is fouled on his way in.
Mistakes cost you against UConn. A quick shot by Sims with a 3-pointer, but they transitioned so quickly.
Top 25 basketball. Carolina, Florida State tied at 24 in the first half. Miami leading St. John's 30-22, and that is quite a battle as the 9th-ranked Red Storm play in Miami. We'll keep you posted on that game all night long. At the line. The sophomore from Waterbury pours it through. A couple of substitutions. Sims and Cotton goes to the bench. Millar and Harley check in. Harley, of course, one of the starters. And Osei Millar from Brooklyn, another freshman. You look at the roster, they've got 4 juniors, 4 sophomores, and 5 freshmen for Boston College.
And of course, Jimmy Calhoun loves to shuffle the substitutions in and out, and that's why they hurt you so much on that transition. You make a basket, you blink, and they're down the other end converting on a wide open layup.
14 of their points have come in transition, so it's a 10-point lead at 20-10. The biggest lead has been 14 here in the first half, and there's the difference. We talked about the transition points, and that is a huge edge for Connecticut.
There's no time to rest, John. You see that they put the pressure on. You have to take care of the basketball. Then they work the hard quarter-court defense, and then they're on transition.
And Harley, a nice soft jumper in the lane that time, gets on the scoreboard. El-Amin keeps his dribble, leans in, and drills it.
It's like the old Georgetown teams back in the 80s when I played. We used to try to practice 7-on-5 to try to mimic how quickly these guys go from defense to offense.
Yes, they can get fast breaks off made baskets, and they do it quite a bit. Dean backs it out and gets it back from Harley. 11 minutes and 50 seconds remaining in the first half. Millar with a 3. Got it.
Nice stroke.
That's his first three-pointer of the year. He is now 1 for 5, and you talked about their lack of success shooting not only two-pointers but three-pointers. Bosco's back on the court. He's got it against Ross, kicks it out to Elamine. Now Hamilton looks at the official, thought he was bumped, thought he was fouled, and BC's shooting percentage has improved now. It's up to 46%, and that time he is fouled by Walls.
Eagles fouls on Kenny Walls.
Walls will pick up number 2.
John Beerbaum in for the Eagles.
And checking into the lineup is Beerbaum to replace Ross. Now, John Beerbaum was a starter the first 7 games of the season. Now they've shifted that role and using Ross as a starter, bringing Beerbaum off the bench. Connecticut has taken 7 field goal attempts in 8.5 minutes. Here is Hamilton at the line. He's 2 for 2 so far tonight. 15-point effort against Georgetown. I mentioned his career high of 38 came against the Eagles last year. It was January the 16th of last year when he rolled in the 38 points, and he doesn't get the roll on number 2. Here's Harley on the move, pulls up in front of Bosco and throws it away. Elamine always has that head up. Inside to Saunders. Beerbaum tried to take it away from him, and the foul call goes on Millar.
We made the comment about how many times the UConn Huskies are going to the foul line, but if you're Millar and you're the Boston College Eagles, you're not going to give them the easy layups. If you take a look at Elamine with a nice left-hand bounce pass off the dribble, and I really like Saunders. The young man's come in here and given another strong front court presence to go along with Kevin Freeman.
Saunders at 6'8". These will be free throws number 11 and 12 already tonight.
And there's no other option, though, John. I mean, if you don't foul them, they're going to go up and over you, and then you have to box out 3 other guys that are most likely going to get the rebound and tap it in. You might as well make them make the 2 foul shots.
I tell you, well, this is nothing compared to the foul shots that were taken last night in that West Virginia game at Providence. Saunders has 3. The lead is 24-15. Number 1 team in the country is on top. The Eagles trying to hang in. We'll be back. 24-15 with 11:10 to play, and the Eagles at this point are hanging in.
Well, Michael Cotton does a great job splitting the half-court pressure and comes right back and converts, John, on the little layup.
And that's something they have not been doing enough in this season. They started 1 for 6, but they're now shooting 50%. And there's a foul on E.J. Harrison, who just checked into the lineup. One of the few seniors on this team from Danbury, Connecticut.
Fouls on number 31 for UConn.
Beerbaum will inbound for the Eagles of BC with 11:09 to play. We're still in the opening half tonight in Boston, Massachusetts. I'm John Sanders along with Mark Plansky. Glad you could join us for Big East Conference basketball.
That's 3 team fouls, 3 on the Huskies.
Dean has given him some good minutes off the bench.
Well, you saw that graphic. Obviously, Boston College is not shooting well at only 39% from the floor for the season. But when you're playing the number 1 team in the country, your nerves, the butterflies are all in the stomach. So 1 for 6 is going to be expected from Al Skinner. I have to give them credit coming right back 5 for 7 the next 7 shots, getting used to playing against the number 1 team. But the way UConn plays, there are going to be opportunities because they go 94 feet.
Well, it is a little bit intimidating, especially for a very young team. It's tough enough to play in this conference, and then you go against somebody that's, at least in many people's eyes, the pick of this conference, and that's Connecticut. Harley along the baseline reverses and scores. Nice move by Kenny Harley. They got the good feed down low. Foul will go against Boston College. That's number 2 on Kenny Harley. We are at Conte Forum, which is on the campus of Boston College at the Heights in Chestnut Hills, along with Mark Plansky, John Sanders. Glad you could join us tonight.
The house that Doug Flutie built.
A disappointing end to Doug Flutie's season for this year. Ricky Moore from Augusta, Georgia, goes to the line. And Hamilton gets his first break. Richard sits on the bench with 11 first-half points. Moore has that 1 layup on the scorecard. They've cut the early 14-point lead in half. Have the Eagles. BC has not been to the line so far tonight.
Well, there's been one and done on the BC offensive side of the court. Shoot and go back on defense.
Moore has been a terrific free throw shooter. 26 out of 31 so far this season. The lead climbs back to 9 again as Cotton works against Kevin Freeman and finds Harley, who in turn gives to Dean. The youth is definitely being served at the heights.
But they're learning quickly. I mean, this is a great tutorial for these kids.
Cotton, nice solid jump shot. He leads the early scoring for Boston College with 6. Elamine comes back. Roscoe wants to set that screen, and Beerbaum jumps out. Just outside the foul line, drilling the shot home is Albert Mooring, who has given him some spark and some points off their bench.
Especially since Rochamel Jones went down with the injury. He really has stepped up, averaging 11 points a game. But he came into his own even before Rochamel Jones went down.
Connecticut 7 out of 8. Scored a lot of points, as you mentioned, at the line, but when they've gone up for those field goal opportunities, they've made them as well.
Well, they're confidently passing the ball that extra pass, John, and they're getting a lot of open looks.
Shot clock winding down. Three-pointer in the corner is buried. Nicely done that time by Kenny Farley. Gets his first 3. He's got 7, and he's a good three-point shooter. He's been a 41% three-point shooter.
Always a good strategy against the #1 team in the country. Take as much time off the shot clock and throw one up, and if they go down, it's a great strategy.
Here's Moore. Works his way to the lane. Gives it up to Elamine. Got the 3 on the way. Short with it. Bosco gets it back. That's the first offensive rebound for either team tonight.
That's an incredible stat. A lot of fouls down here for Boston College, sending UConn to the line.
And that's after 11 minutes of basketball. Mooring has the answer from the side. His second consecutive field goal, 30-22.
You know, for Boston College, when the biggest guy on your team 6'7", you're not going to be getting a lot of offensive rebounds against UConn.
UConn shooting 78%, BC 59%. Dean against Elamine. Just under 8.5 left in the opening 20 minutes of play.
Look at Jimmy Calhoun pacing the sidelines. I think he expected it to be a little more of a spread than 8 points at this point in the game.
Beerbaum against Bosco. Goes back to Cotton. Rattles out. Bosco there for the rebound. Kicks it to Elamine. Freeman ahead of the pack. Here comes Moore down the wing. That'll be an offensive foul. Elamine picks up number 2.
Take a quick look. Elamine with the basketball. Loves to have the ball in his hands. He attempts to jump to the right side. May have done just that, John. Obviously, you have to stay with your feet still when drawing an offensive foul.
That was very close.
He's so smart with the basketball. Finds a way to get into cracks with that body. He's a fullback in a point guard's body, or vice versa.
And the Huskies so far have turned it over more than the Eagles. That's also something you do not expect to see 12 minutes into the game.
Well, it's kind of UConn's throwing this passive trap on him, so there's really not a lot of opportunities to throw the ball around.
Hamilton has the rebound on the weak side after the Sims miss. Finds Mooring. Saunders is back in there along with Freeman, Moore, and of course the All-American Hamilton.
And what they've done a great job is taking away the low post game for UConn. They dominate size-wise against the Eagles.
Three-pointer on the way and good. Mooring has picked it up off the bench. That's 7 points for the sophomore from Preston, Maryland. An 11-point advantage again. Biggest lead has been 14. Remember, it was a 12-0 start for Connecticut.
Jimmy Calhoun's never really had that fourth guard to go to, and Mooring is that fourth legitimate scoring threat from the perimeter.
Ross keeps it alive for the Eagles, and Spina is back on as well. There's the three-point story. Just one miss for Connecticut. BC getting a little bit on target. Here comes Sims hanging. Doesn't get the roll. It was tapped once by Ross. Here comes Hamilton. They really don't have the numbers at this point. So Moore skips it all the way over to Mooring. Why not? He's had the hot hand. Hamilton's got a three-pointer coming and good. 14 for Richard Hamilton. His third three-pointer of the first half. Elamine has one and Mooring has one.
Simple fundamentals. The shot was not there for Mooring. He drove the seam of the zone, passed it back out to Hamilton. You can't leave either one of those guys open.
They have matched their biggest lead of the first half with 6:30 to play. Ross. Harley from outside comes up short. A rebound by the blue-collar worker, Kevin Freeman. Inside. Stripped away and picked up by the Eagles. Saunders has had a tough time hanging on to the ball tonight.
Obviously, a point of emphasis was to deny the inside offensive attack for UConn, and they've done a good job. Boston College has.
Scramble for the rebound. It's Hamilton. 1-on-3. Hamilton forced that one up, looking for the foul, didn't get it. Sims pulls up from the side and uses the glass to score. Second field goal of the first half by Sims. The lead drops to 12, 36-24. Winding down toward the final 5 minutes of the opening half. Ross doing the best he can down low, and they've had some success in guarding Saunders. That's going to take us to a timeout with 5:38 to play in the first half. 36-24 is our score. The #1 Huskies of Connecticut have the lead. We have a timeout. We'll be back. You're watching Big East basketball from ESPN+. And Boston, we're in Chestnut Hill. It's 36-24. The Eagles kind of hanging around, but what's happening in the big matchup down south? Right now it is Miami leading St. John's.
You know, I did the St. John's Rutgers game last Saturday, and Rutgers had an early 13-14 point lead. St. John's, with Ron Artest at the lead, has a great knack of just hanging around. Complete composure.
All the numbers good so far for the Huskies. Moore with a 3, and there's another one.
Well, that was a clinic on how to attack the 2-3 zone, high-low, and the cross pass for the wide-open three-point shot.
Connecticut now 6 out of 7 on three-pointers and have their largest lead of the half at 15. Bosco working against Ross. Bats it out of bounds. Shot clock shows 23 seconds while we track down the loose basketball. Now Skinner in his second season. Of course, remember, this is a guy that had success, built a program, a good program at Rhode Island, a couple of NCAAs, a couple of NITs. Dean for 3. Good. That's 7 points for Willie Dean, the freshman. Good job defensively. They've got both Beerbaum and Ross on the court at the same time right now to try to go a little bigger.
And because of it, they went to a 2-3 zone again, and UConn should go back to that three-point shooting.
Walls misses. It's tapped away to Hamilton. He's got Moore with him. Moore ahead of the pack, and Moore is fouled. Walls will pick up his 3rd personal foul of the first half.
Eagles fouls on 21. Walls.
Well, take a look. They are so good going from defense to offense. And as you mentioned earlier with Elamine, Hamilton's head always up as well. Moore taking a look back, thinking maybe dish it back to his teammate, but he knew he had the easy layup.
Moore 2 out of 2 from the line, so the free throws continue to pile up. The Huskies have led since a 12-0 start. The biggest lead has been 15. And the first player in foul trouble is Kenny Walls. But like you said, the way they run in transition, you're going to have a chance to pick up a lot of fouls.
Oh, absolutely. And when you're playing a team like UConn, you might as well give up the fouls. You have 5 each. No need to keep them to the end of the game.
Terrific career numbers, as you saw. Assist to turnover ratio for a solid senior who now has 8 points. Coming back on the court is Clinton Sims again.
You look at Ricky Moore. Here's another guy that if any team wants to throw a triangle and 2 against Elamine and Hamilton, he and Freeman can tear apart a gimmick defense because of the numbers we just put up. Ricky Moore has been around. He's a veteran leader for this team.
Steal, and Saunders with a slam. Edmund Saunders gets the basket. Here comes Dean against Harrison. Scoops and scores. That's 9 for Willie Dean. 43-29 is our score.
Well, Bosco got caught. He came down after the steal and was caught mid-transition. Saunders dunked the ball so quickly, BC was able to get down the court in the transition.
And it's going to be on Beerbaum. I think it is. Hanging on to Jake Vosco. Pretty good battle inside, but John Beerbaum picks up his first foul.
Well, Beerbaum at 6'7", playing against 6'10". Vosco, you have to give up a little action down low. The problem is once you start shoving it, as you can see there, they're going to call the foul.
Now, Beerbaum, the one player returning on this team that did play some minutes last year. Vosco with a miss at the line. Albert Mooring comes back on.
Albert Mooring returns. Replaces Ricky Moore for the Huskies.
18th free throw attempt in the first half. And Ross left not only the court, he left the bench and went to the training room. Bosco gets his first point of the night. And it is the largest lead is the first half if they get another point. Right now they've matched their biggest lead at 15. Here's Beerbaum working against Suleiman Wan. And some offensive spark from Dean today, haven't they?
You know, Dean has really matured. I did a game against St. John's first week of December where he was not comfortable at all leading his team. But in just a short 4-week span, he looks like a different basketball player.
Cotton from the free throw line, and he buries it. Michael Cotton has 8. Here is Hamilton to the basket. Missed the shot again, looking for the foul, did not get a call. Sims double teamed in the corner. Stepping inside the arc and missing the shot was Cotton.
You know, you mentioned last possession, John, Bosco's first point of the game. Connecticut has to discipline themselves that is where their advantage is. Dump the ball down low to Suleiman Wan, dump the ball down low to Saunders, and then work it inside out.
Mooring for 3, comes up a bit short. Long pass to Sims ahead of the pack. Goes in and scores.
Well, Wan coming in for Bosco, working hard on the offensive end, trying to get that rebound. There was no guard back in transition. Good job by Boston College recognizing it with the front court pass.
Inside 3 minutes to play, the lead is 11. So since that 12-0 start, it's been pretty even.
I don't think you want to handicap the #1 team in the country 12 points.
No.
But as we mentioned, BC is not going to come up short on the effort.
Hamilton with a leaner that rims out and then in. So Hamilton got the roll and had 16 points in the first half. Obviously the leading score for both of these teams with 2:30 to play in the half. We will of course be tracking that Miami St. John's game during the course of our game. We started a half hour before us. Cotton gets inside, misses the shot, gets it back, spins, and draws a crowd, and will go to the line. Edmund Saunders will pick up the foul. So the first free throws of the evening are coming up for the Eagles.
Well, you take a look at Cotton's first jump shot. It was a fadeaway from 10 feet. Everybody was heading back on defense because they're terrified of transition capabilities for UConn. The ball came right back to him, and common sense knocked down the door. Let's just take it at the big guy and see if we can get to the foul line.
5 fouls on
The numbers for Cotton on the season. And their first free throw goes awry. As a team, shooting 69% from the charity stripe. Roscoe comes back on. And Cotton will get one more opportunity. 9 points so far for Cotton. But it's been the transition game of the top-ranked Huskies and their solid defense that has spotted them this lead, 46-34. Stay with us. We'll be back. 34 ball game. Hamilton already with more points than he had in the victory over Georgetown, and he's got the stroke going, as do all of the Huskies, especially from outside. 75% of their threes have gone in, 73% of their twos, and 78% of their free throws. So solid numbers all the way around, and his, as always, very solid.
Well, as we mentioned, when you warm up 2 weeks ago against Ray Allen and Scotty Burrell, you got to think anybody in the Boston College team looks a little more friendlier on defense.
Bosco underneath, turns, shoots, comes up short. Cotton the rebound.
Good job by Boston College pushing the big guy out, but at 6'10", don't fade away.
Dean took it right at him and then dished it off to Beerbaum, who reverses and scores to make it a 10-point ball game. Underneath. And Trick Kleber. They get the held ball.
Jump ball, possession to the Eagles.
A reminder coming up at halftime as the Connecticut Huskies turn it over for the 9th time. We'll have the Big East Wire, a feature, a defensive feature on Postel, stats and highlights all on the National Car Rental halftime report. So stay with us from Conti Forum, home of the Eagles of Boston College, but they have never defeated Connecticut in this building. There's the turnover number, and that might surprise you just a little bit.
That's excellent. 5 turnovers coming into the end of the first half for Boston College. Shows you how much of an emphasis that was to protect the basketball coming into this game.
Cotton split the defense and drew the foul. Going to go on Bosco. The first on Jake.
Edmund Saunders. That's his second.
Oh, they called it on Saunders, didn't they? And there you see some ice on Kevin Freeman's foot.
Suffering from shin splints. There's nothing worse as an athlete. Shin splints has nothing to do but rest. The more you play, the more it hurts. You just have to give it enough time to grow out of the pains. And Kevin Freeman is not one who typically wants to sit down on the bench in any game.
No, that's exactly right. Cotton has taken all 4 of the free throws for the Eagles tonight. Made 2 of them. Has a double-digit game going. Cotton with 10. Saunders sits. An 8-2 Eagle run right now. Hamilton brings it in. Final minute 15 of the opening half. Here comes Mooring to Voskel. Tried to go back door to Hamilton, but he was held up by Kenny Harley. That's 10 turnovers now for the #1 team in the country. And remember, you talk about the Eagles with 5 turnovers. They're averaging 16 a game, so they are doing very well in that category. And he's muttering a little bit to himself.
That tie is off. It's loose. The first button's undone. Let's hope there's soundproof walls in that locker room at halftime for UConn.
Hamilton has the numbers 3-on-1, takes it himself and loses it out of bounds.
You know, John, you mentioned this UConn team is so young. It's such a discipline to maintain a #1 ranking in the country against a team that you think you're going to beat. You just have to come in, take care of business early, and get out of town. And UConn is letting BC stay in the game.
And Cotton with a good feed underneath. Michael Cotton has matched his season high with 12. A 22nd timeout called after a 10-2 run by the Eagles. It's the Huskies trying to regroup just a bit. That lead has dwindled to 7.
Conti Forum beginning to be SRO here, John, as we take a look at BC. Beerbaum trying to do a behind-the-back dribble. An excellent pass, finding the Cotton, cutting right down the middle. Again, where is Jake Voskel? That ball should have been sent back off the glass.
So a little bit of a problem in the turnover area. And you're right, because when we started this game, this place was about half full, and I don't think there's very many empty seats now. Home team playing very well at Conti Forum. Which, of course, is attached to Alumni Stadium.
A great facility here.
Yeah, it is. It's terrific.
They did not have it back in my playing days. The old Robert Center, 4,400 capacity crowd. One of the original college bandboxes.
Here's Hamilton, pulls up for his jumper in the lane and buries that one. That's 18 points for Richard Hamilton.
That's one of those plays diagrammed on the chalkboard by Coach Calhoun. Time to get back to fundamentals.
Shot clock is off. The game clock winding down. And I'm sure not all that disappointed, because a lot of people were expecting a complete and total rout in this game tonight, but it has not been that way.
Especially the way we started the game, 12-0.
Cotton for 3, and it's well off the mark. Elamine in the final seconds from midcourt. Hits the clock above the basket. 48-39 is our halftime score. The Huskies, the #1 team in the land, have the lead. They were up by as many as 15 in the first half. They will go to the locker room leading by 9. We'll start our national car rental halftime report when we come back. You're watching Big East basketball from ESPN+. Start the second half tonight here in Boston. Some good transition basketball got the Huskies off and running to an early lead.
Well, UConn the last couple of games have had around 40 fast break points, and here's a good job by Hamilton keeping his hands in the passing lane. And as soon as they have the ball, Ricky Moore and the rest of the Huskies are off to the races.
But as that first half went along, we saw the Eagles get themselves going at the defensive end and turn that into points the other way.
Carbon copy highlight with the white shirts this time. Doing a good job in the passing lane, and it's Dean on the other end.
Leading scorers in the first half, Richard Hamilton, the All-American, with 18. And by the way, Kevin Freeman will not start the second half. A couple of players in double figures for BC tonight, Cotton and Harley. Not their leading scorer, Sims, who had only 6 in the first half. But Kevin Freeman not in the lineup as we start the second half. Instead, it is Saunders.
Well, BC going to the 2-3 zone, John, that they had some success in it the second half. Look for UConn to make that extra pass again.
Three-pointer by Elamine to start the second half. Elamine now with 9, his second three-pointer. And by the way, the pain in the lower right leg, shin splints, that is the reason that we will not see Freeman in the second half.
Such a tough injury. There's no cure but time.
And by the way, we did not see Roshamel Jones in the first half either. Vasco comes out on Ross, who gets it away to Cotton. Ross inside the three-point arc, too strong. Rebound Elamine.
All 5 Boston College Eagles running back on defense. No one going for the offensive glass.
We've got a hold down inside called against the Eagles of Boston College. And the foul will go against Brian Ross, his first. ESPN USA Today top 25. Halftime, it's 40-40 there in Miami and St. John's. The Red Storm is not going away. Auburn in a matchup of top 20 teams has the lead, as does KU over Baylor in Big 12 basketball. Here it's 51-39. Elamine deep in the corner, skips it all the way back to Hamilton.
Well, UConn doing a good job with that skip pass, but when they make that pass, look for Vasco to be wide open.
Good move by Elamine. He's got the first 5 points of the second half and 11 on the night.
Big J keeping Ross right on his hip. Nobody was down low in the middle of that zone.
A 5-point run. Remember, the game started with a 12-point run for the top-ranked Huskies. They get the first 5 points of the second half. It's 53-39. Sims against Hamilton. This is Cotton working on Saunders. Harley goes behind his back and have the hand check called on Ricky Moore, who will pick up his first personal foul.
Well, UConn stepping up their man-to-man defense, John, but with 6 seconds left in the shot clock, and Harley with a weak behind the back one-on-one move. Kind of a silly foul right there by Ricky Moore.
Gives him a fresh 35 on the clock in which to set up that half-court offense. Sims hands it to Pina, who started the ballgame, but picked up a couple of early fouls and did not have that many minutes in the first half. Harley working against Hamilton, puts up a 3. It's too strong, but underneath, keeping it alive and coming back out is Pina. Down the lane is Harley for a little runner, and Vasco has the rebound. Looks to Elamine. 3-on-2 the numbers. Hamilton weaves his way down the lane, score the basket, and will go to the line. That's 20 now for Richard Hamilton.
That was a clinic, John. Such control by the 2 guys we featured at top, the stars, Elamine and Hamilton. Elamine found Hamilton early. You find the guy in the middle and watch this body control. Little jump stop right around the defender. Good job using the glass to convert.
Fouls on Cotton. His second, team second. Willie Dean replaces Pina for the Eagles.
Pina will come out of the lineup again.
Hamilton's at the line for 1.
Cotton, the second foul of the ball game, and it's a 7, maybe an 8-0 run to start the second half. Hamilton does make it 8-0.
So smooth out there, John, when he's shooting a 3 or finishing on a layup, so as if it's just another practice.
It's 56-39. Biggest lead now of the ball game at 17. Dean coming off the bench. He gave him some good minutes in the first half.
He really has, and BC has to be careful not to let Connecticut take off with this run. They want to take care of the basketball. Don't just make one pass and jack it up. Make a play some D.
Cotton got it back at the baseline and nails the shot. Hard work by Michael Cotton, who's got 14. He got the rebound and then turned to the offense and laid it back in. 56-41. We played 2.5 minutes of the second half.
A careless turnover by UConn. They had 11 turnovers to 10 assists in the first half. That's not an assist turnover ratio you would expect from a #1 team in the land.
Certainly not the kind of assist turnover ratio they've had throughout the season. They've been the best in the conference in that category. Ross, too strong, hits the deck, no foul call. Along the baseline, it's saved by Moore to Hamilton.
Nice pass.
And beautifully running the court that time was Edmund Saunders. Boston College, as they did, very shaky at the start of the second half, opening 1 for 6. And thus it is for the second time, the biggest lead of the night.
Even though he started slowly tonight, Saunders for Jimmy Calhoun's probably the biggest surprise. And when he plays well, he and Freeman are a tough duo up front for power forwards.
That will go against Bosco, and that will be Jake's first foul of the night. Connecticut in the second half is 4 for 4 so far. And this is exactly the way the first half began, isn't it?
Absolutely. Then BC went 5 for 7. And UConn went 5 for 8.
Dean got more in the air, gets the roll as he banged it off the glass and back in. Dean goes to double figures with 11, but at the other end, the basket is good, and Hamilton with 23 points. Remember, he had his career high of 38 against Al Skinner's team 1 year ago.
How quick was this transition? Jake Voskuhl never got inbounds. 2 passes, and Hamilton already converting on the other end.
Back comes Harley, has it knocked away by Hamilton. Voskuhl gets it back to him, 3-on-1. There's the alley-oop again to Saunders. 22nd timeout coming up for the Eagles of Boston College. It is a 19-point lead thanks to a 14-4 run to start the second half, and you could see that last one coming.
Oh, Edmund Saunders a couple of times running out front court. Richard Hamilton had the easy layup, but what a great dish.
And this is going to be our BMW ultimate drive of the game. Great feed because there is Saunders.
And that's not an easy pass to execute. It's a lot easier to do what Saunders is doing, catch and dunk, when you have the athleticism to do such a feat. I never did. But the pass by Hamilton is a pass that they actually practice every day in practice.
Now, dunk was not in your vocabulary, was it?
Not, only with coffee and donuts.
29 fast break points tonight. Coming off those numbers that you talked about that they had against Georgetown and also against Villanova. And that is what they do best. They can get the basketball and put it in the hole in a heartbeat.
The success Boston College had at the end of the first half was deflating the basketball. Take the air out of the basketball. Make UConn play a quarter-court game. They don't like to do that. They want to get out and run like they are here.
Bringing the ball up is Michael Cotton, the Oklahoma University transfer. Saunders pops out on him as Cotton's got the speed to handle Saunders, but he backs all the way to midcourt. Shot clock winds inside 20. We've played 4 minutes of this second half. Here is Ross. Now Dean. Shot clock at 10. Ross from the corner comes up short, tipped up and kept alive by the Eagles of Boston College. Good hustle, hard work down inside by Harley that time. Here's Dean from straight away. Got it. It's a 2.
Yeah, good looking stroke. Nice little crossover pull-up jump shot.
Elamine too hard for Bosco to handle. Right idea. The pass just steamed right through his arms. 15:35 to play as we have our first timeout of the second half. Connecticut leading at 62-45. We're coming back for more from Boston. You're watching Big East basketball from ESPN Plus. To start the second half, but you talk about good shooting. You're talking about Willie Dean.
Willie Dean with this nice fundamental crossover, pulls it up on a dime and drops it nothing but net. 6 for 6 now in this basketball game, and for a perimeter guard to be 6 for 6 against this UConn perimeter defense, that shows you how much this young man's matured in only a few weeks in Big East Conference play.
Handling the basketball in backcourt, number 3, Michael Cotton. He'll bring it up against Edmund Saunders, who's been flying high with a couple of acrobatic dunks off Hamilton feeds here in the second half. And it's Saunders with a steal. He got behind, and now out ahead of the pack is Hamilton. Got in too close to the basket, missed the shot. No foul call. 3-on-1 the other way. All alone to the left hand, and laying it home is Kenny Walls, his first field goal of the night.
One of the rare times UConn got caught with their skirt down on a defensive end. Nobody back in transition.
15-point lead for the Huskies, who have the basketball. And we've got a foul called inside. No, 3-second violation.
3-second violation.
A 3-second violation. Another call that I've seen a couple of times this year that shocked me was the palming call.
I know. Well, you've been calling it. You've been calling for it for years, John. They're finally giving it to you.
Every now and then they do. I had 3 in one game the other day. I was really stunned.
Point of emphasis by the guys at Foot Locker this year.
I'll tell you what, you allow them to do that, to hold for that extra beat, and it's tough to stop a guy out in front, isn't it?
Especially when it's followed up by a rocket skip. That was a skip pass by a rocket crossover dribble. That's a definition of skip pass.
That's a rocket skip pass. It rocketed right out of the arena. Dean's played very well tonight. Some other scores for tonight. Number 17 Minnesota trailing, and it's Purdue leading Penn State. And how about Oklahoma winning there? Wisconsin ahead of Michigan State, and Cincinnati. That might be one of your elite teams this year.
Absolutely. I left them out. How about the Big Ten, though? They've got 6 legitimate teams in that conference that we'll see in postseason activity.
And they're still basking in the joy of an undefeated bowl season for the Big Ten.
Forgot you're the football guy, too, John. I got to get up on these.
No, they enjoyed their postseason, I'll tell you that. Saunders along the baseline, no place to go, and loses it, turns it over. Back the other way come the Eagles, trying to claw their way back in as they did in the first half. 15 turnovers now. Cotton with 3. Good. Cotton has 17 points, a new career high for him.
Hasn't been shy, John, and a couple of these go down. They get to crawl right back.
It's a 7-0 run after that 14-4 start for the Huskies. A 7-0 run now for the Eagles. Moore takes it from Mooring. This is Hamilton into the lane, gliding, comes up short, and will commit the foul. Hamilton, number 1. And that was simply a case of Cotton wanting that basketball a little bit more. He had position, ripped it down, and drew the foul.
One of the major differences for Jimmy Calhoun's team versus Al Skinner's team is the ability to practice against skilled basketball players. BC has only 4 scholarship basketball players. They play against walk-ons, and to come out against the number 1 team in the country, go 7-0 run in the last minute and a half is very impressive, because on the other side, John, UConn has 15 kids that they can throw in and out and play a full game scrimmage.
That's nothing. Notre Dame's got about 85 guys. Hamilton steals the inbound pass and scores. 25 points for Hamilton.
Like Plastic Man. Out of nowhere, left arm went up and got the ball.
Pushing it ahead is Harley. Cotton, by the way, the double-double tonight with 10 rebounds to go with his career-high 17 points. Well, he has done his part. You know, only 1 player coming into this game in double figures for the Eagles. 3 are in double figures tonight, and it's not the guy who leads the team in scoring. It's not Sims.
Well, Connecticut allows you to get up and down. A lot of opportunities will come if you play this transition offense, and BC letting them go. They shot 50% in the first half. They're averaging 39.
Dean misses his first shot of the night. Suleiman Wan rips it away and hangs on. Now it's stolen by Beerbaum, who gets it back from Dean, then goes to the baseline, misses the shot. Why not shoot that little shot from the side instead of go down that baseline? Here comes Hamilton. That's traveling.
That's a good question. That little 8-foot shot is not as easy as it looks. It's one of the tougher shots in basketball. But BC did everything right. They pressured the rebounder. Suleiman Wan threw it away. Dean again involved. You take a look at the turnovers in this game. Very uncharacteristic. 6
turnovers already in the first 7 minutes of the second half for the number 1 team in the nation. There's a steal by Elamine. He took it away from Harley. Uses his body but misses the shot. Gets it back and is fouled. That'll be the second on Willie Dean.
Fouls on Willie Dean.
You know, a few times tonight, John, we've seen the UConn Huskies take it to the rim, Elamine and Hamilton, and jump into the defender. Great job coming over from the blind side, picking Harley's pocket. But watch Elamine jump into the defender who jumps away himself. I mean, that works very well if you're playing against super athletes who try to block every shot. But these kids at BC are not trying to block the shots. They're going to foul you. Just go up strong.
Hamilton drills a 3-pointer. That's 28 points for Hamilton. Something about the side of these Boston College uniforms for him, huh?
Hamilton.
The largest lead of the night, matched again. 3rd time they've been up by 17. Hamilton has not missed a 3-pointer tonight. He is 4 out of 4.
A little bit of confidence.
Nice reverse scoop lay in that time by Jonathan Beerbaum. He's got 4 points. Dean pressuring Elamine, who keeps his dribble, then finds Hamilton from the side, looks for it and got it. That's 30.
Silky smooth.
If you don't put a body on him, he'll kill you. Harley for 3. He has the answer at the other end. Harley now to double figures with 10. He's the fourth Eagle in double figures, 69-55. Now remember, this is a team that's not even averaging 60 points a game. And with 11:30 to go, they've got 55 tonight.
A little mano-a-mano going on with Harley and Hamilton.
Elamine gliding in the lane, missed the shot. Hamilton gets it back. He'll take it underneath. Find Juan, who draws the foul from Walls, who's got 4.
Take a look at Suleiman Juan doing a good job being in the right position, creating a passing lane for Richard Hamilton, but Richard Hamilton's out front smiling. I mean, he's having himself an enjoyable evening in the game of basketball.
You know, scoring 30 will do that to you.
Yes, it always did it for me, John.
His high for this season, Hamilton, is 32. As we mentioned, Walls with 4 personal fouls now. And his career high of 38 came against these Boston College Eagles 1 year ago.
A lot of people don't remember that Richard Hamilton broke the 5th metatarsal bone in his foot this summer. Did not participate with UConn when they went overseas as a team to play. He sat out from July to October, did nothing but ride the bicycle. So this guy is really just starting to play basketball from October 15th, and we're only January 6th. That's incredible the way he's playing here this evening.
He has been solid tonight. Suleiman Juan makes 1 out of 2. He's 9 for 22 on the season. His first point tonight, but it has been the Richard Hamilton show. He's got 30 points. His team leads by 15. We'll be back to Boston. 5 is the score, and the Huskies, as they have done all year, continuing to lead this game as they have all year long in almost every category.
Well, you take a look at it. This is why they're the #1 team in the land, John. And when you have 8 guys that you can go to, with the exception of the last number, assists and turnovers are not supposed to equal each other. 1-to-1 ratios are not good in that department. You have a lot of weapons out there.
And they finally get it into Harley. He takes it down the lane, comes up short. Sims with a follow. He went high off the top of the glass. He saw the big guy coming at him. Suleiman Juan, he said, I better put a little arc on this baby. And it went up to the top. It almost touched the shot clock and then came back down in the basket. Tough to block that one, huh? Here's Mooring kicking it to Juan. Puts up his short jumper. On the weak side, Saunders back with a putback. Saunders with 11 points tonight.
Well, if UConn missed more shots, that's what I expected to see, a lot of offensive rebounds and putbacks.
Well, the problem is that with that last miss, their shooting percentage for the game dropped to 66%. That's all. Kenny Harley gives it to Cotton. Some other people coming in. Troy Bell has been recruited by BC from Minneapolis, where he's averaging 39 points a game, and they expect him to be the starting point guard for the next 4 years.
And he's a good one. A lot of people around the coach's world wish they had that guy in their lineup next year.
3-on-3 is Elamine, tries to feed it underneath. It's kicked out of bounds by E.J. Harrison. On the scoreboard, it's Carolina over Florida State by 18 points tonight for the 10th ranked team, St. John's and Miami, and it is still Miami leading by 8 there in the second half. We'll try to give you the final before we are finished tonight. Jim Calhoun looking at a 72-57 lead right now for his ball club.
Miami is so tough a place to go to and try to play well.
Conte Forum has not been too tough for the Huskies. They've never lost in this beautiful facility. Big East basketball coming your way tonight. I'm John Sanders along with Mark Plansky. And Mark, you know a little bit about what it's like to play #1s, don't you?
Yeah, my freshman year, 84-85, St. John's and Georgetown flip-flopped all year long, being #1 in the country. And like these guys at Boston College at the beginning of each half, when I played against Georgetown for the first time at the Spectrum, I couldn't breathe. I had cotton mouth. Broly looked at me and said, get the heck out of there. They're only another college team.
Walls with a putback. Second field goal for Walls. Of course, you guys had the last laugh about that #1 business, didn't you?
Well, we were 1 for 6 against #1 teams that year, and we won the one that counted.
The last one is the most important. Here's Dean the other way. On the glide, put up a tough shot, follows it and misses, and Saunders has it knocked out of bounds by Dean. That time Willie Dean may be trying to do a little bit too much.
Yes, he is. But as we mentioned, UConn's transition gives you a lot of opportunities. Willie Dean had the ball all the way up the court. He had a chance to pull up for a jump shot. He decided to take it down low. Nice little crossover dribble here. He knew Vosko was coming over, warding him off. And if he came down and went back up, most likely a block shot. But the young man from New York really working hard this evening.
Elamine taking a little breather as he moves across half court to Hamilton, who's back on, goes to the baseline, little glider off the glass short. And he almost got a rebound sitting on his backside. 3-on-2 and knocked away by Elamine.
UConn ball.
A reminder about our Big East Network games coming up this weekend at noon. Check your local listings for Providence, Georgetown, or Villanova at Rutgers. All of that noon on our ESPN games of the week. Elamine has it back. 72-59 is the score. This is Saunders, who's been good tonight. Hamilton spinning and took one too many steps. 19 turnovers now for UConn. Quickly checking back in is Albert Mooring. And Hamilton is going to get a rest. A lot more turnovers than the coaches for the Connecticut Huskies would like, and that's Dave Leitao, the associate head coach.
Dave intercepting, getting to Hamilton before Jimmy Calhoun gets to him. That's the job of the assistant coach.
Yeah, that time a little problem for Ross trying to get the ball in bounds. It's a 22nd timeout.
Well, Calhoun found him.
Hey, they always do, don't they? There's no way to escape.
That's the beauty of Jimmy Calhoun. There are no white towels in his locker room. He never throws in the towel.
A reminder, you can get the latest information on Big East basketball at the league's official website, www.bigeast.org. Scores for all the games, box scores updated after the games. No better place than on the website for Big East basketball. Well, the Eagles scratched their way back in the game in the first half, trying to do the same thing in the second half. Remember, it was a 12-0 run to start the game tonight, and then at the beginning of the second half, Al Skinner's club looking up at a 14-4 deficit. The way that the Huskies have sprinted out. Sims against Elamine.
You know, regardless of what happens in the last 8 minutes and change, a very respectable show by the Boston College Eagles. I mean, you talk about a UConn team that has waltzed through and blown out everybody they played against.
Steal by Saunders. He gets it back. Almost lost it again and is finally fouled by Dean. And it'll be number 3 on Willie Dean. Talked to Tommy Amaker, whose team defeated Boston College rather handily recently, and he says, you know, I still think they're going to sneak up on somebody this season.
Well, you can see why. They're very fundamentally sound. They know that they don't have a bunch of superstar talented players, so they really take their time and run the offense. All they need is one night that the shot goes down.
And it'll happen.
Absolutely.
Well, it hasn't been that bad shooting tonight, but it's been too good a shooting by these guys, the guys in the blue uniform. Dean's got some help on the wing. It's Walls against Vosko. Missed the shot. Hamilton starts back. 3-on-2. It's Hamilton. And it's an offensive foul on Richard Hamilton. His second foul of the night. The 30-point man picks up foul number 2 at the 8:06 mark.
Well, Hamilton going to tie that career high of 38. Maybe an easy dish off down low to Saunders would have been an easier decision, but you can't blame him. The man is in rhythm.
Absolutely, and Edmond was standing right there. That's 20 turnovers in this game. Here's Dean pulling up for his jumper. Comes right back at him. Rebounded by Moore. To Elamine. And there was Saunders again looking for the alley-oop. Instead, it is Elamine with 13 points in the ballgame now.
And Elamine has really matured in his second season at UConn. Last year, he would come down and just jack up that 3 right away. He let everybody fill the lanes, watched them go by, gave the look away, ended up open, and then took the easy 3.
Beerbaum on the perimeter for the Eagles, who trail at 74-59. 15-point lead, almost stolen by Elamine. He hits the deck. Sims kicks it to Ross, who rattles it home. That's the first field goal for Brian Ross in the game tonight. Elamine comes back. 7-10 right now remaining in the game. Vosko against Ross, and he's fouled. Number 2 on Brian Ross from North Quincy, Massachusetts. We mentioned Troy Bell coming. Also, Andrew Dudley, a 6'10 player from Bristol, PA, is coming on for Boston College, trailing 74-61 as you watch Big East basketball from ESPN+. That's a chance to look back at some memorable events. 2 years ago, for example, January 6th of '97, Providence defeated Villanova. Their second win in a week over a ranked team, a feat that they repeated this year by beating Purdue and then ranked Pitt back-to-back. And you better look out for those Friars. The attendance tonight, 8,606 here at Conti Forum. The Huskies have led throughout, starting with a 12-0 run. Biggest lead has been 17. Voskuhl along the baseline. Little floater is good that time by Saunders, who has 13 points.
First time we've seen UConn's trademark against the zone, the high-low. That's what Jake Voskuhl does very well, and usually it's Kevin Freeman on the blocks that is the recipient of that pass.
But with those shin splint problems, he is out of the game. And we've also not seen Roshamel Jones. Saunders able to hang on. Here comes Hamilton. 32 points. He wasn't going to miss that one, was he?
I'm watching the steal take place in front of us. As I look up, Hamilton's in front of everybody. Where does he come from?
They can run the court. And finally, Voskuhl is going to be called for the foul. His second. Has a verbal exchange with the freshman Brian Ross.
You take a look at it. Saunders, too, finally got a hold of the ball and found his buddy Hamilton, who, as you mentioned, John, gets out in front of the crowd on transition as well as anybody in the game.
And he flushed that one in a heartbeat. 78-61. Back to that 17-point difference, the biggest of the night. Checking back in again is Michael Cotton. And he has the basketball against Saunders. Too strong, and that's been the story tonight for that jump shot for Brian Ross. A lot of them have been too strong. Mooring with it to Hamilton. Moore gets the baseline, comes back out to Mooring, who spots for three. It rattles out. Ahead of the crowd, it's Cotton. Beautiful feed to Cotton, and he's able to finish with 19 points. He continues to add to his career high. He had scored 13 in a game at Oklahoma. His high for this season had been 12, but he's got a big game tonight at 19. Moore pulls up, shoots over Dean. It's short. That's going to go against Voskuhl. Jake with number 3. Fighting for the rebound.
You take a look at Jake Voskuhl, obviously frustrated tonight. His stats not up to par. But when you're playing against younger guys and 6'6" centers that they're at your knees the whole game, John, it's like gnats. You don't get a chance to get into your rhythm as a big 6'10", 7-footer.
Well, Boston College has still attempted only 4 free throws in this entire game. Underneath, there they'll get a chance to go to the line for the first time as Saunders is going to pick up the foul. A reminder to check your listings for the game that you want to watch on
St. John's game. That was a battle the whole 40 minutes.
Walls hits the 5th free throw opportunity for his team tonight. They're 3 out of 5, but the difference, of course, they have shot 16 more, have the Huskies of UConn. Walls, a good free throw shooter, 76% coming into the game. The lefty, just under 5.5 left in this one. Voskuhl to Hamilton.
Yeah, I'm thinking Al Skinner needs to work the referees a little more. What's going on there? A little one-sided.
Does that help, really?
Doesn't hurt.
Hamilton has matched his season high with 32 points tonight. El-Amin. Hamilton thought about a 3 and finally shoots and hits a 3. He has not missed a 3-pointer tonight. That's 35 points for Hamilton. And back to that 17-point difference again.
Wow. That was
a good comment. Wow.
Unbelievable.
Cotton with it. Ross has it batted away. Harley picks it up against Moore. Walls will shoot a 3-pointer. Hamilton has the rebound. Saunders again streaking down looking for the alley-oop. Didn't get it. 81-64. Less than 4.5 remaining. The Eagles have not quit, that's for sure. They didn't fold despite the blistering start to the first half and the second half by Connecticut, and Hamilton continues to pour them in. 37 points now for Hamilton, and that's the largest lead. 19 points now.
It's just a question, will Calhoun leave him in long enough to get to 40?
Now one more field goal and he will break his career best. And the hold inside is going to take it back the other way.
You take a look at Richard Hamilton. A lot of players will get 37 points by making one-on-one dribble moves. Every shot he has made has been quick and concise. An open jump shot, a simple one-dribble offensive move, or a layup in transition. Nothing flashy about this young man. But
well, and that's why people try to keep a body on him. You just can't let him get free like that or he's going to kill you.
And he's tough to keep a body on. You look at his build. It's very wiry, but he's strong. He's not a weak player. He's a very strong player, but he's not physically large. So it's hard to keep a body on him. He's very smart moving without the ball.
Last year he had 38 against Boston College. Tonight he has 37. Moore 5 for 5 at the line tonight, and Ricky's in double figures now with 10.
There's always one team you play very well against. I remember Dwayne the Pearl Washington averaged 30+ points against us for his career. He loved to come in and beat us up.
And you hated to see him coming. A perfect 6 for 6, 11 for Ricky Moore, and a timeout with 3:57 to play. The All-American continues to put on a show tonight, leading his team against Boston College. We're back in a minute. Point difference. Time now for our best play of the game, brought to you by Advance Auto Parts. The best part is our people. Saunders sets it up, and very happy to finish it off is Richard Hamilton.
Well, you can take a look at Saunders doing a great job staying in bounds, and as you mentioned, he looks like he's having a good time, and he is.
And a little applause, please, for our Advance Auto Parts play of the game. 85-64. 20 turnovers by Connecticut tonight, but that has resulted in only 19 points for the Eagles of Boston College, who have shot the ball better, and they've scored more than they had been scoring, shooting 45%.
You would not think 20 turnovers on the road you would be up by 21.
See if that foul's on Bosco. And Jake is going to pick up his 4th personal foul, and Miami holding off the Red Storm, the 9th-ranked Red Storm, 84-79. You better look out when you go down to Florida to take on Leonard and company.
Well, Timmy James, as we mentioned at halftime, he's the guy that gets all the accolades, all the attention around the country. But Helmsley is really quietly stepping up. I mean, 3 out of the last 4 weeks of Player of the Week.
Man, it's not so quiet anymore.
No,
people are starting to notice.
And you're talking about 2 top athletes. Very hard to match up for a lot of teams.
A 20-point game for Michael Cotton as he continues to add to what has been offensively a career night for the University of Oklahoma transfer. He is the leading scorer for the Huskies. Richard Hamilton has 37 points to lead UConn tonight. And Jim Burr pausing for a moment. A little word between Hamilton and Brian Ross. And Brian Ross actually starting at center, but I think he's going to wind up being a power forward, don't you?
Well, the thing about Brian Ross, John, is that last year in the whole state of Massachusetts, he was the leading scorer. The guy almost averaged 40 points a game from North Quincy High. That tells you the difference between high school and Division I Big East Conference basketball.
That's a good point. Elamine with the ball at the 3.5-minute mark. It's Hamilton who draws a triple team and will go to the line as he's fouled by Harley.
You know, for all you guys out there in high school watching this game and saying, I could play for BC this year, I could do this. There's an incredible stat. 40 points for a game in high school his senior year. He's having a hard time putting up a couple tonight.
Ross averaging just 6 points a game and has just 2 tonight. He had 1 field goal. Hamilton with a chance to now set a new career high if he makes both. And there's 1. Second straight year that he's had 38 points against BC, and now looking for number 39. Without Kevin Freeman most of the end of the first half and all of the second half, it has been Hamilton stepping up to score 39. Moore will go to the bench. So just 1 point away from his first 40-point game. 5 for 5 3-pointers. As you remember, they 3-pointers add up in a hurry, don't they?
Oh, absolutely. And for you folks at UConn, I want to see, can you top this? Boston College goes to Stores Wednesday, February 10th. Let's see if Richard Hamilton can put up 3 for 3 against BC. It's an impressive showing just doing it twice.
Walls gets inside, bangs it off the glass, and good. Kenny Walls has 7 points. It's 87-68. Clock winds down under 3 minutes. Connecticut never really pressed in this game, but they did make some mistakes as far as turnovers were concerned. But when you've got Hamilton scoring 39 points, you know you're going to be in pretty good shape.
Well, that's the difference between the college basketball game, John, and the NFL playoffs that we're watching. The stat that handed just to me in the 1990s in the NFL playoffs, 2-42 is the record of the team that has the most turnovers. Now here, UConn has more turnovers than BC, but they arguably have a little more talent.
They're in the 20-point cushion as far as the lead is concerned. The freshman goes to the bench. And the sophomore, John Bierbaum, will take his spot, and Juan goes to the line for the second time tonight. He made 1 out of 2 in his first chance. Now has 2 points in the game. Hamilton will lead with 39. E.J. Harrison will take over. Hamilton, 14 of 19 overall, and 5 for 5 in 3-pointers. 1 out of 2 is all that Juan can hit from the free throw line. Walls for 3, and he rips the net. So Walls hits his first 3-pointer, and he is in double figures. 4 players in double figures tonight for Boston College. They have scored 71. This has been one of their better offensive outputs. Elamine off the screen, pumps and misses. A rebound by Bierbaum. Here's Cotton. Elamine cuts by him, and Cotton simply lays it home. It has been a career night for Michael Cotton, 23 points.
He really has risen to the occasion. Good job by Bierbaum seeing the wide open fast break.
Final 2 minutes of this one. The Huskies right now with just 1 starter on the court. That's Elamine, who gets the backdoor feed and scores, and will go to the line. Elamine with 15 points.
Another good example of Elamine's ability to draw the contact as he gets into the lane. As I mentioned, he has a fullback type body, but you can see him jumping into the defender first, and then because of his strength, he can ward off the defender, gather himself, and still make a decent shot for the 3-point attempt.
Conversation now between 2 of the officials, Jim Burr, who is our referee, and Reggie Greenwood. Connecticut started the game on a 12-0 run, went up 16-2, and the closest Boston College has been since then is down 6. The career high night for Hamilton. Great shooting for him. Elamine to the line. And it rolls off. Will not fall. Dean starts back for the Eagles. And that time Harley dribbled it off his foot. So Elamine will settle things down with 1.5 minutes to go.
Harley can take a page out of the Richard Hamilton book. You don't need behind the back and through leg crossover dribbles. Just keep it simple and you put up some good numbers.
E.J. Harrison to Khalid Elamine in the corner. Mooring had that one blocked, and ripping it down was Michael Cotton. Harley. I think that ball slipped out of his hand. Harrison wound up getting a piece of it. Walls, who just made a 3, is going to try and hit another one. That's 13 points for Walls. 90-76. You know, when Connecticut scored 100 points the other night against Villanova, it was oddly enough the first time they had scored 100 points in a Big East game and won.
Really? That's interesting.
Yes. Bierbaum on the wing. Walls will go to the line.
Walsh obviously showing his capabilities from behind the arc, but how about his athleticism, filling the lane, taking it strong. Good job by Boston College. You mentioned earlier, no matter what the outcome is, a great showing of effort, and here's just a good example. Filling the lane and going hard.
Walls will have a couple of chances to add to his 13-point total tonight. Kenny Harley a 10-point ball game. Michael Cotton a career high 23, and Willie Dean with 13 points tonight. Those are the leading scorers for the Eagles. On the other side of the ledger, it's Hamilton with 39. Kevin Freeman had only 2 free throws in the first half and then left with shin splints. Jake Voskuhl had just 1 point tonight. Khalid El-Amin with 15. Ricky Moore 11. Albert Mooring had 7. Pretty big night for Edmund Saunders with 13 points. Walls with 15. The freshman from San Francisco, 3 out of 4 at the line. 90-78. We're in the closing seconds of this Big East basketball game. Boston College now gets ready to go to Pittsburgh on Sunday. And also in that same region, Connecticut, as they try to go to Antrim-Claber, Connecticut plays on the road at West Virginia on Saturday.
And I'll see you in Morgantown for that one.
Well, I'll tell you what, those Mountaineer fans will be ready. You can bet on that. An air ball picked out of there by Suleiman Wan. Here comes Claber down the lane, and Dean ties him up. 7.2 to play. 90-78. The halftime score was 48-39.
2 shots.
Conversation at the scores table as we wind down the final few seconds of this one. We want to remind you again about Saturday's Big East games of the week. You can check your local listings and tune in for Providence and Georgetown, which promises to be a dandy, or Villanova at Rutgers, and I think that's going to be a good one as well. So a couple of good choices. You want to make sure you check the listings for the game in your area. Claber goes to the line. First time tonight, and it rattles out. Final seconds ticking away as Dean will bring it across. Put up a bank shot, no good, and that's it. The final is 91-78. The Huskies win. We will come back to recap tonight's victory, the 12th in a row for the #1 team in the nation. The Huskies 4-0 in conference play, 12-0 overall. We will be back. For the Eagles, their second highest scoring game of the year, but they lose to UConn 91-78. Despite the turnovers, the #1 team in the nation was never really threatened tonight.
No, they weren't. They took care of business, but give Boston College a little credit because, you know, these guys had Curley, Granger, Woodward all graduate. Cosmos Maglos announces in August I'm going pro, and only lost by 13 points. Kudos.
Hamilton with 39 points tonight, keying the victory for the UConn Huskies. They roll 91-78 to victory tonight. For Mark Plansky, I'm John Sanders. Thanks for joining us, and good night from Boston, Massachusetts for our Big East basketball.